Good evening. Last year I talked about my growing up in Feltonville and making sure to be across the street shooting baskets at the wreck around the time the synagogue might be calling our home, looking for me to come to shul and help make minyan for Mincha Ma'ariv services. This year I'm going to move a little further along my Jewish timeline. Of the many jobs that I've had over the years, one was working for a testing and engineering company in Philadelphia as a quality control technician. One of my assignments was working in an asphalt batching plant north of Philadelphia. To better understand the job that I did, think of me as a mashgiach of Macadam. The batch plant was owned by J.D. Morrissey and Company, Inc. The old man, as we called Mr. Morrissey, had a philosophy that any time the plant was not pumping out blacktop, he was losing money. Now, under Commonwealth of Pennsylvania rules, no asphalt could be laid before sun up, and the last load had to be on the ground an hour before sunset, which meant that the first load was put on the trucks about an hour before sunrise, and the last load was out the gate about 2 hours before sunset. The plant ran pretty much 6 days a week. One day, Mr. Morrissey pulled into the plant and gathered up the men to let us know that he was anticipating going to 7 days a week for the rest of the summer to complete a really big job that the Commonwealth had awarded his company. One of the men spoke up. "Mr. Morrissey, you're Catholic, like us. Sunday is the Shabbat, and we need to go to Mass." Back then, there was no Saturday evening Mass. So if we could get to the 10 a.m. Mass on Sunday, we could have the plant up and running by around noontime. The old man thought about it for a few minutes and decided it was not worthwhile to run the plant for only 6 or 7 hours on a Sunday. "Rabbi, don't even think about it. As the only Jew at the plant, I was not about to broach Saturday with the old man. And besides, I was knocking down a big chunk of college tuition working 70-plus hours a week." Now, as I drive around the 9th Ward and up into the Brandywine 100, I am sure it is universally true most of the time the churches and synagogues are dark, the parking lots and surrounding streets are empty. I can only imagine if the old man had been clergy instead of construction. I am here at CBS a lot, starting with minyan most mornings. Is that not an ironic twist? And here I am here a lot as your president. I am back here sometimes 2, 3 times a day for various meetings and other things I need to accomplish on your behalf. What is remarkable is that most of the time, not only are the lights on, but the building is often bustling with all kinds of visitors and activity. Congregants in the kitchen preparing food for Shabbat or other events, congregants working in the garden, helping in the office, getting ready for life cycle events like B'nai Mitzvot, Hebrew school, and lots of other things that wind up as part of worship or social events. So when you get your copy of the Kol Shalom, don't just flip through it, but look at all that is going on here and think about what it takes to make each event happen. And become involved as a volunteer in the pre-event work and by attending some of the activities here at Beth Shalom. This year, I have several appeals for your consideration. The first appeal is to look at everything that is on the CBS calendar and pick an event that you would like to attend. For instance, consider coming to the book club, or perhaps a sisterhood event, or why not come out one evening and knock down a few brews with brews and Jews, or maybe one of our educational classes, or be part of Tikkun Olam, welcoming a refugee family to America and helping to repair the world. Possibly you could even come to services. How about a second Friday night Shabbat, or a morning minyan, which during the week includes breakfast, and in doing so helps support a congregant who needs to say Kaddish, or to say Kaddish for one of your loved ones. During the summer, there is our Shabbat under the stars. Consider coming on a Shabbat to celebrate your birthday or an anniversary with an aliyah and a blessing from our clergy. Just as important as your physical appearance at CBS is your financial support of the synagogue. If you remember last year, I told you how much I dislike asking for money, especially on these high holy days. But it is the only time of the year that you are all here, and frankly, having to call 400 families would be a rather daunting task. While both visitors and congregants are impressed with our newest spaces, the atrium, the chapel, the Hebrew school, the offices, and the library, every visitor is awestruck by the beauty and inspirational space of this sanctuary. The common refrain from people new to CBS is, I didn't expect this when I pulled up in the parking lot. And while there were some modifications done to this section of the synagogue when construction was done 10 years ago, this part of the building, which dates back to 1953, has not in recent years needed to have any significant work done to it. While the maintenance of our facilities consumes a not trivial part of our budget, right now our two biggest needs are an upcoming replacement of the roof from just behind where I am standing all the way back, past the stage and over the kitchen. The cost is estimated to be approximately $80,000. While we have started to put money aside for the re-roofing, we are a long way from covering the cost. The second major item is the repair of the many stained glass windows, some of which date back, I am told, to the original Beth Shalom building, which stood a few blocks from here. These windows were brought here from the old building and installed when this facility was built 64 years ago. Now that I have everybody looking at the windows, some of you can see holes in the glass panes, but that is not the critical part. An evaluation of the windows was done this summer, and while it may not be obvious to you as you look at the windows, the metal frames are rusting, and they are under stress. Some of the lead beading that holds the glass is failing. Some of the panes are bowing, and some of the panes desperately need repair or replacement. And if we want to do it right, we are looking at, so far my low bid, $58,000 in order to renew and save these windows for future generations of CBS congregants. If you are into keeping our building beautiful and dry, and if you don't want to see the stained glass windows fail and perhaps one day fall out of the frames, come talk to me, and we will see how you can help us meet our goals to repair the roof and save our beautiful stained glass windows. But maybe you're not into roofing material or stained glass windows. Maybe you're into Jewish education. Currently, we have over 50 students enrolled in our Hebrew school and Shalom Corps. Most of these young families have lots of expenses in raising their children. Paying the mortgage and affording synagogue dues and Hebrew school is a difficult stretch for their budgets. According to our treasurer, our budget assumptions for this year estimate we will only collect about 49% of the actual cost of educating our congregation's children, leaving a deficit that the congregation covers each year by moving funds from our general fund to the Hebrew school account. This year, the amount looks to be about $62,000. I hope that if you value our children and our grandchildren's Jewish education, you would consider a contribution to the Hebrew school funds. If neither the needs of the building repair and the maintenance nor helping our Hebrew school families appeals to you, we have a long list of giving opportunities through the various funds that we have set up. If you want to talk not about today, but about future planning, Beth Shalom has a legacy program where you can support the synagogue through your will. Let me publicly take a moment to thank all of the 66 Beth Shalom families who have already made a commitment and become part of our legacy society, including a majority of the board of directors who have also made this commitment to the future of our synagogue. While contemplating our own deaths can be a somewhat unpleasant experience, it is an opportunity for you to help secure Beth Shalom's future. My next appeal is to ask you to join the many of your fellow congregants who are here today and throughout the year, and who wear many kippot. Come not just for Yom Tov, but I would encourage you to come to a men's club, Latka Palooza, and help make an awe-inspiring number of latkes for our congregants, and at the same time help feed families in our community. Or come and maintain our beautiful gardens. No experience necessary to help, and you can learn from our master gardeners who oversee our beautiful plantings. Volunteer to assist in the office with special mailings. Join our kitchen club to learn and share new recipes and help prepare our Shabbat Kiddush luncheons. Join our board of directors or one of the board committees and share your knowledge and expertise. Look at being a member of Beth Shalom, not just for worship, not just for social, but for the opportunity to wear a few CBS hats. I have worn many CBS hats over the years. I even had the opportunity to wear the rabbi kippah. Many of you remember Rabbi Kenneth Cohen. At that time, he and I were about the same size, same height. He had a full black beard, as I did back then, and both of us had a head full of hair. One day in the middle of winter, I was making rounds at St. Francis Hospital. I was there very early in the morning, before sunrise. I went into ICU to see one of my patients. The lights were dim for the night. I greeted my patient and asked how he was doing, and then proceeded with my exam like any other physician would do. After I was done, I told him that he looked to be doing well, and that hopefully the next day or so, he should be moving to a step-down bed and hopefully back home soon thereafter. I told him that I would be back to check on him again tomorrow. As I was stepping away from the bed, he said to me, "Thank you, Rabbi, for coming to see me. See you tomorrow." So, Rabbi, if we each get a bottle of that special Grecian formula 613, we might be able to cover for each other in the future. Seriously, the money is important. And I would also ask you to join the 59% of the board of directors who, to date, have already made a pledge and contribution to the annual fund, and consider at least to match last year's gift to the fund. If not, consider an increase in your pledge, as 70% of those board members already have done, and increase their contribution to meet our significant needs of the building and our children's future and the future of the congregation. If you have not pledged yet, nor were planning to give, I have a challenge for you to give at least $36. That's right, just $36. Just take your pledge card, and since we don't have a $36 tab, if you fold over the $90 tab and then fold over the Please Call Me tab, our staff will know that you are pledging $36. Next year we'll have a $36 tab. If you don't have your pledge card, get it as you go out to the lobby and pick it up then, or we will mail it to you. Now, while $36 does not seem like much, when multiplied by 200 families, it can make a huge difference, especially since every new donation will be matched. That's $36 times 200 families times 2, almost $15,000. What will that buy? It will help us replace 50 more broken and worn chairs, or it will help us repair broken and cracked stained glass windows, or it will help us replace worn out carpeting, or it will help to add much needed security upgrades, and if we have any money left over, to help pay for that new roof. Anyone can do their part, no matter how small, to rejuvenate and renew CBS so that it can continue to be a warm, but not too warm, and welcoming place for worship and community. If you can give more, I thank you, but commit to giving at least $36. We obviously have some ambitious goals to repairing the building and the stained glass and providing an education for our children. I'm also asking for your commitment to actively participate in the running of our synagogue. The very generous gifts of your time, your money, your expertise, and your knowledge can go a long way to becoming a Beth Shalom Mashgiach member and support our shared goal of making this a special place for all of us who call ourselves Beth Shalom congregants. At this time, I will ask you to turn down the tabs on your pledge card and pass your envelope to the aisle, and I'll ask our ushers to collect them. Thank you. Gemar Hatima Tova, and may you have an easy fast.
Pass the card.